It's 12 o'clock.
It's 12 o'clock. Oh, hello. Hi, I don't know if you can hear that or not. My computer talks to me on the hour in a British voice. It's 12 o'clock. And I always say, thank you, darling. Hi, I'm Casey Durango of Go Keto with Casey, where I like to talk about how I've lost 97.4 pounds since starting the ketogenic protocol, how you may be able to lose weight, improve your health, and regain control of your life like I did. I hope you're well. We are well. Today's topic, I was going to say from the snippet topic suggestion spreadsheet link below, which is the way I start out all of the Patreon video snippets. I've done now 990 of them. That's not an exaggeration. Anyway, today's topic is because I've heard from several people, over the last week or so. And so often, it's so interesting how sometimes one person will write things just as a comment or a question. And then I'll hear that same theme between my blog and the YouTube and different ways people contact me. A theme I noticed over this past several days is that, hi, Casey, I was doing great, and then something happened. And the situations vary, but the idea is always, I was doing great, and then life happened. So the problem with that kind of thinking is life always is going to happen. There's never a day it doesn't happen until the day you die. And even up until that moment, something happened that day, and then you died. But let's not think about that right now. Life is always going to happen. It never stops. If we're going to wait for life to stop coming at us before we make positive changes in our life, guess we will never make positive changes in our life because it never stops. It's relentless. Go stand on the seashore, put your feet in the sand, look at the ocean, and wait for the waves to stop. They don't stop. Sometimes they're bigger, sometimes they're smaller, sometimes the tide is high, sometimes it's low, but the waves never stop. And that's okay. That's the way oceans are. They are pulled by the gravity of the moon. And they react, and then they recede, and then they react, and then they recede. And that is the way life is. I'm going to use a word that is a strong word. It's a pointed word. But keep in mind that I am talking to myself very often when all I can do, I'm not a scientist, not a researcher, I'm not a medical provider. All I can speak with the only thing about which I can speak with authority, that's too convoluted a sentence, is my experience and my understanding of what I've been doing. So I often am speaking to myself, or I'm saying things that I had to say to myself at one time. The word I'm going to use that is a kind of a strong word is excuse. Not an explanation, an excuse. I was doing great, and then life happened. Okay, and that some of the life happening is tragic. Some of it's just irritating. Some of it's distracting. And sometimes it piles on. But there will always be things. And very often I'll hear from people who say, I was doing great, and then my dad got sick, and then he died, and I put on 37 pounds. I was doing fine until my mother passed away suddenly, and I just ate everything in sight. This is not, I don't say this in an unfeeling manner, but the father is still gone, and the mother is still gone. And my parents are both gone. And in my family, 3 of my brothers have died. And I've had heartache. My heart has been broken in half. I've had very irritating bosses, misogynistic jerks, to tell you the truth. Not in my former career. I had a very short stint outside, in corporate America. And I like to say I had a midlife crisis. And instead of having an affair, I went into corporate America. And either way, I got screwed. Before I forget, what am I drinking? Let me adjust my camera. Hashtag Casey's Pink Drink. Tall tumbler full of ice. A lot of diet tonic water. Splash of diet cranberry. A squeeze of lime. I'm asked about it every time. Let me adjust my camera again. So we need to quit saying life came at me, because think about any situation, and I'm going to challenge anyone to say that we all haven't done this, because I know I've done it. Everything from scary and problematic medical diagnoses to arguments with our partners, to jerk bosses, to burying loved ones, to the car broke down just when you could at least deal with it. Or what did the pretzels or the ice cream or the tortilla chips or the brownies or the ding dongs or the Twinkies or the plate of pasta, what did that fix any of those things? Did any of us actually feel better after giving ourselves the excuse that, well, this rotten thing happened, so I want some steak fries? Because really all that happens is you're kind of numbed for a moment while you're eating the steak fries. And then about 90 seconds later, you feel gross and like a failure. And whatever problem happened is still the problem. We need to solve our problems, not eat them. That's actually going to be a little thing I'm working on the 2022 Go Keto with Casey calendar. And it's not going to be one of the big calendar things. It's going to be one of the little sayings below. We need to solve our problems, not eat them. I kind of like that. So how do we deal with this? First of all, we just suck it up and grow up and accept the fact that we might be rolling along fine, but something's going to happen. You know, recent acute pandemic, and I use that phrase purposely, the recent acute pandemic and readily available food delivery did not solve the pandemic, did not make us feel better. It might have numbed us while we were eating, but it didn't fix anything. And I call it an acute pandemic because I just heard that phrase. A doctor was being interviewed. And you know what we ignore is the chronic pandemic of obesity, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, which is around us all day, every day, and has been for years. It's not getting the headlines it deserves. But anyway, so even if your life is good right now, yay, good, celebrate that. Don't celebrate by eating food you don't need. But something's going to happen. I hate to say it. None of us live in a bubble where we're fully protected from rotten days, rotten weeks sometimes. I can tell you from my personal experience, no time when I made a decision to eat food because I used the excuse that was a rotten thing that just happened to me. No time, not once, did I feel better because I ate. Not once. Opposite. Felt worse. Felt worse sometimes physically, and certainly felt worse mentally. Because I'm a smart person. And I kept making the same stupid decision over and over again, thereby making me question my sanity. How can I be so smart and make the same dumb choice over and over and over and over again? Part of it's physiological. We've been given bad information, but that doesn't excuse us. That doesn't excuse us from using our noodles. You should pardon the expression, from using our bacon strips. Meaning brains. We've got to make better decisions. And we have to separate our decision to eat food away from what's going on in our life, unless the thing going on in our life is hunger. If you're hungry, eat. If you're not hungry, don't eat. Our dead loved ones are still dead. And I can't imagine that my mother, who never saw me lose weight, I mean, she knew me when I was cute and young, but I didn't start on this protocol until almost exactly a year after she died. She would have been so happy for me right now. She would not have been happy for me using her death and our kind of problematic last couple of months together as an excuse for me to chow down. Same with my father, who died many years ago. And he was morbidly obese. And he died of metabolic syndrome and cancer thrown in. And he wouldn't have wanted me to stay fat. I had a patron-only video group session right before this. And we're going down the reasons, the kind of negative reasons people eat. And I said, have any of you ever engaged in revenge eating? You get mad at somebody else, and so you eat. Like, that'll show them. I'll show you. I'm going to eat a whole quart of Haagen-Dazs. Life happens. It doesn't stop until we draw our last breath. And even then, it's going on for somebody else. Would we want our passing to make someone we care about make poor food decisions and put on 40 pounds? Would we want that for them? No, of course not, unless we're jerks. And we're not jerks, most of us. Life will continue to come at us. We need to be prepared. We need to accept that fact. As the phrase goes, we need to suck it up, buttercup, and tell ourselves before, we don't drown because we can't swim. We drown because we panic. We have to just make it a part of our thought process that if we're not hungry, we're not going to eat, no matter what's going on around us. Good things, bad things, mediocre things, frustrating things, scary things. If we're not hungry, we're not going to eat, because us being obese or diabetic or having a cardiovascular thing will not help protect us from the bad things. It'll make it worse. We need to quit making excuses. In my opinion, that's an excuse. I was fine, and then life happened. Yeah. Somebody write down the day that life doesn't happen. Even on my very best days, I will curse myself sometimes because I will do some dunderheaded thing. And I have a really good life. But if I really worked at it, I could find an excuse every day, maybe 3 or 4 times a day, where something didn't go exactly the way I wanted. So I'm going to give myself leave to eat. Okay, that's that. Now, before I turn to the comments and questions, I do want to give a shameless commerce division, trying to earn my keep. Some of these things you can get on the links and products below the video on my Teespring shop. The steel water bottle says "Go Keto with Casey." It's got me on the back. One of several mugs. This one says "Lay off the carbs, lay off the excuses," with my face on the back. I mean, if you can stand that in the morning. I've got these at my blog. Magnets. Are you here out of hunger or out of habit? At my blog, Pop Socket. Who knew? I really like this thing. And then, among other things, a 12-month record book. Go Keto with Casey 12-month record book with pages of different things and habit trackers. You can get this one at Amazon, cheaper, and you'll get it faster. This one is really the better book. It costs more, so it's a little bit more expensive, and I do the fulfillment, so it'll take longer for you to get it. There you go. And I do want to recognize and thank patrons. I know some of whom are here. I have a private patron-only support group. Depending on your pledge Every month you get 20 video snippets from me, from my kitchen table, and the topics are suggested by the patrons. A handful of patron-only live streams on Crowdcast, a handful of patron-only video group sessions on Zoom, one-on-one sessions with me, which I've just opened back up, 50-minute one-on-ones with me, and access to a hidden private Patreon Go Keto with Casey Facebook group by invitation only. Okay, done. Now let's talk to each other. Judith, and I just jump in for the first one I see. Judith Ann Wilson, yes, go Casey. Revenge eating, that was so me. Right? And what a crazy thing. It's what's the old phrase that revenge is like, seeking out revenge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die? Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, with kids, life happens daily. Without kids, life happens daily. Our kids are up, grown, gone, fully functioning, off the payroll for years, leading their own lives. If not for Instagram, we wouldn't know what the hell they're doing on any given day. Excuse me, potty mouth, sorry. And life still happens. Just between the two of us. Life can happen when I'm sitting here by myself. I love your face, Casey. Your avatar is so cute. Oh, thank you. Thumbs up. Helen. Hi. Helen Broods. Hi, Casey. Great chat today. Thank you. Dave S. writes, let me get my mouse. Hard to break bad habits with food, especially when we have to eat to survive. It's doable, though. Education and determination. And this is, Dave, you're right. People use the thing, yeah, alcoholics can give up alcohol because they don't have to drink it every day. But I have to eat every day. Yeah. Well, you don't have to eat every day, but you don't have to eat all the food every day. And frankly, if you lay off the carbs, it becomes easier to lay off the carbs. It is just one of those things. It's just, you're laying off the carbs, it's easier to lay off the carbs. Candy Martini writes, good morning, Casey. Thank you. I'm losing following the program. Yay. Thank you. Congratulations. Okay. I actually think I got caught up here almost. So let me scroll back on up. My parents coped with alcohol. Yeah. My keto carnivore life writes, rock bottom at 321 pounds. That's the point which I lost all excuses. Nothing is a distraction anymore. No amount of cookies, donuts, etc. will cause me to waver. 35 pounds in 8 weeks and counting. Congratulations. That is great. Can't wait for the calendar. Yeah, let me tell you about this calendar, 2022. I'm enjoying it. But instead of going to like a calendar production, letting I made it myself. For better or for worse, as I mentioned to the patrons several times, it might end up being a stinking pile, but it'll be my stinking pile. So I'm doing all the design work and all that stuff myself, and I will see. But it will be a limited run, to tell you the truth. But I hopefully to get those wrapped up and ordered. Hey, Terry. Casey, right now I'm making turkey burgers with Swiss cheese and mushrooms and some pepperoni sauteed in some butter. Yummy. Yeah, this is really a tough way to eat, isn't it? Some people say, well, it's so restrictive. No. Again, opposite. It's not restrictive. It's indulgent. Oh, good. Thank you, Judy Porterfield. Great topic today, Casey. You're spot on. A great pre-holiday video. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, but I was doing fine until the holidays happened. Well, really? I can't think of one happy moment in my life where food was involved, where the moment was enhanced by the food. I can't think of one happy moment in my life where I wasn't focused on food, where the moment was diminished because I wasn't focused on food. Make the moments the moments. And food is not love. Love is love. The holiday should be about the people. We make it about the food. We make everything about the food. We make Super Bowl Sunday. Instead of being about the Super Bowl, it becomes about tailgating and giant mammoth pizza orders with the pizzas as large as a Subaru. everything becomes about food. That's the food manufacturers and the advertisers' job, is to do their job. We don't have to buy into all of that. We are adults after all. N'est-ce pas? Oh, this t-shirt, I see at IW, Go Keto with Casey, I can and I will. This is a kind of a subtle message. So nobody needs to know what it means. And for those of you who are interested, you can get it at my Teespring. This is a woman size small, and it's a really soft t-shirt material. I really like it. Finally caught you live, writes Parker Shane. Okay, thank you for saying that, because I do get asked every time, why do I not know when you're going live? In order to get notified in advance, if you're interested in that, of course, you need to subscribe to this channel, click the notification bell icon, but you also need to have on your device allow notifications from YouTube. That way you'll get notified. Magic Mia writes, do you have any thyroid issues? I walk every day 2 miles and sticking to the protocol. So we will see by the end of October. If I haven't lost, I need to have thyroid checked. By the way, you're great. Thank you. No, I don't, that I know of. I don't have any thyroid issues. Do you have a reason to believe that you have thyroid issues? Because kind of previous generations, the fallback was, oh, that person has a glandular issue, they used to call it, meaning thyroid. Oh, that person's heavy, they have a thyroid issue. Well, maybe not thyroid, maybe consuming more fuel than required. And by the way, the walking 2 miles every day is great, but that's not going to burn fat. It's not. It's good for, getting out and getting your blood pumping, but it's not going to burn fat. What burns fat? Reducing your carbohydrate intake to a point where we're not putting out glucose from our livers at like a fire hose. And when that happens, our bodies turn from burning glucose, which is sugar for fuel, to burning fat for fuel. 20 grams or fewer a day of the total of carbs. Total carbs, not net carbs. Net carbs is just eating more carbs. If it's not on page 4, link below. Don't eat it, but you don't even need a food page. Eat fatty sources of protein, limited amounts of non-starchy vegetables, and limited amounts of full-fat dairy if you like it and can tolerate it. Heather Silver writes, what numbers on a lipid panel are the most important? Not the overall cholesterol. Thank you for the question. Not the overall cholesterol that the doctors quote, like one number. On a lipid profile, really what matters are the HDL, high-density lipoprotein, the so-called good cholesterol, and triglyceride, which is, it's not bad. None of them are bad. And what you want are, whatever those numbers are, you want them to be as close to being the same as possible, a 1-to-1 ratio. So you want HDL and triglyceride to be as close to the same number as possible. Even better, HDL being higher. For example, if your triglyceride is 75 and your HDL is 75, awesome. If your HDL is 82 and your triglyceride is 75, great. My HDL is 112 and my triglyceride, I might invert the numbers. It was either like 46 or 54, something like that. So Dr. Westman said, I have Methuselah numbers, meaning I'll never die. So if you want to know those numbers and you're not already getting them, don't worry so much about the LDL, because there are 2 types of LDL. Doctors will sometimes quote one LDL. There are 2 types and they're very different. And one type is benign and one is problematic. I'm loaded up with the benign ones and have almost none of the problematic ones, the small sticky LDLs. I've got plenty of the big fluffy LDLs. But you can ask for an NMR, nuclear magnetic resonance lipid profile. And Dr. might say, we don't do those. Well, come on, order it, please. And it might cost you, insurance may not pay for it, but I think when we get it done, it's like an extra $30. Well worth it to me to know. Miko Stains, I think when it comes to family functions and food is often the one common thing that we can agree on and talk about without talking about the stuff we don't agree on. LOL. It's a distraction, I think. It can be. And so if you're in a situation and these family gatherings are coming up and it's going to be food all the time, you need to prepare and say, I'm simply not going to partake. But I'm happy for everyone else to be distracted so we don't have to talk about how obnoxious Uncle Henry is. That's awesome, Casey. Yes, it is. My A1C, I think, was 4.5. And this was at my last annual. My glucose was 62. Blood pressure was perfect. Everything was spot on. Good. He lived to be 950, I think. Grandmother's Garden, LDLP, LDL particle number measures the actual number of LDL particles. It appears that LDLP may be a strong predictor of cardiovascular events. Don't know about that. Talk to Dr. Westman about that. Judy Porterfield, yes, you're right. I'm sleeping better. I'm glad someone's sleeping better. My Heather writes, my HDL 85, triglycerides 126. The total, okay, had fasted over 18 hours and had not. Do you know what it was before? Could those numbers be an improvement? Because that can happen too. You might have had triglycerides of 350 before. And so that is not a 2-to-1 ratio, triglyceride to HDL. So there's a school of thought that even something like 1.5 to 1 is better. Ange writes, happy Thanksgiving to my fellow Canadians. Might be tough for me to give up the desserts, but I will give it a go. Okay, see, change that thinking there, Ange. You will give up the dessert. Might be tough, but you will do it. Not give it a go. Do or do not do. There is no try. That's a terrible Yoda imitation. Mary T writes, it's Canadian Thanksgiving this weekend, keto every day, even on Thanksgiving, or on your birthday, or when life happens, or on Tuesday. Perfect. Couldn't have said it better myself, Mary. Yoda. Yeah, do or don't do. You don't have to try. Just don't do it. Listen, putting food in mouth is not an involuntary action. This is a behavior, which whether we want to believe it or not, whether we want to accept it or not, is within our control. You know, here's another thing. Life comes at us. And some people say, well, you know, the one thing I could control was what I ate. And so I was so disgusted with all these things that happened. I just decided I was going to eat. Gosh darn it. Okay, same argument. When life is coming at us, the one thing we can control is what we put in our mouths. Think about that. There's almost nothing in the world that is within our control. Right now, an asteroid might be headed straight for my house. Can't do a thing about it. But what I can do is tell you I will not be eating pretzels waiting for that to happen. The life came at me. The one thing I could control was what I put in my mouth. So I ordered a deep dish pizza with a brownie thing. That's you make the right argument with the wrong result. The one thing I can control is what I put in my mouth. I'm sounding very snappish. Sorry about that. Hey, Judy Porterfield. Porterfield is my maiden name. What is LDLP? Low density lipoprotein particle count. But there are two types. There's big and there's little. And if I've got a ton, which is exactly what happened, I have a quadrillion of the big fluffy ones. So my overall number, my particle count was high. I have almost none of the small stickies. Dr. Westman predicts that they won't even test for LDL going forward in a few years. I'm going to, if you're said to be at risk for metabolic syndrome, cardiovascular disease, if you have metabolic syndrome, you are thought to have metabolic syndrome if you have 3 out of 5 situations. Overweight, you have a large waist circumference, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high triglyceride, low HDL. If you have 3 out of those 5, you're thought to be at pretty high risk for cardiovascular or increased risk. Guess what's not there? LDL of any type. Not there. Overall cholesterol, not there. BMI, not there. Gender, no. Age, no. Height, no. Large waist circumference, high blood pressure, high blood glucose, high triglyceride, low HDL. And the ketogenic protocol, if you keep your carbs low, will take care of almost all of those. Your blood sugar will almost certainly go down. Your triglycerides will almost certainly go down, and your HDL will go up because if one goes up, the other one goes down and vice versa. And you could lose weight, and waist circumference goes down, and you might come off blood pressure medications. Thank you very much, you guys, for allowing me to be part of your day. The end of the year is rolling upon us. The Canadians are taking one on the chin for us. They're experiencing Thanksgiving first. And don't eat the dessert. When you're thinking about it, say, I can control whether I do this. I am not powerless against dessert. You are stronger than a dessert. My other t-shirt that's very well selling is I'm stronger than a cookie. Of course you are. Think of all the things we've been through. You're stronger than a dessert. Get over yourself. I say it with love. Okay, friends, thank you very much. Take it easy, and I will see you next week. God willing, if the creek don't rise. Bye.